All right, so we're going to talk coverage here with some old college clips from when I was coaching at Rutgers. And here's just what I want you guys to think about. Here's where I want your mindset to be going into this. Coverage does not have to be as complicated as most receivers make it out to be, right? It is not our job to understand every single full field coverage combination that a defense can play. It's just our job to understand the alignments and the responsibilities of the players over us, right? That coverage triangle, the cornerback, the linebacker, and the safety to our side. We have to understand the different ways they can align, the different ways they work together, and what their responsibilities are in the base coverages. And once we know their responsibilities, we can manipulate those responsibilities. All right, but the same way that a cornerback, he doesn't study every four-man concept that an offense can run. The cornerback, first he starts with studying alignments, right? We have tendencies as receivers. We have 3 routes that we run from inside the numbers, 2 routes that we run from the top of the numbers, and 2 routes we run from outside the numbers, right? Whatever that is. Like we have specific ways we align to run specific routes. So corners, they study that so that they can at least play a guessing game based off your split. When he lines top numbers, I know it's going to be one of 3 routes out of this formation. And now they can play the odds and play the percentages and start to guess and jump things, right? That's the same way we need to think, okay? Oh, that safety's outside the hash or he's 2 yards inside the hash. That means he can only play this coverage or this coverage, right? They can't play every coverage on every snap. So just the way they align eliminates most of the options right away. And then you start to think, all right, is it this coverage or this coverage? Let me think back to my film study. What are the tendencies I've seen on film? What are they showing me here? All right, so the other part to this, right, in simplifying the way you understand coverages is a lot of this happens in the film room. A lot of this happens before the game is even played. We played Penn State. We know that to empty, they're like a 90% too high team, right? So just based off that, you're coming in knowing they love to play too high to empty. That's their thing. This is my point, is making it simple. You've eliminated half the coverages a team can play when you know they're a too high zone team versus empty. That's just based on film study before you even step on the field. All right, now you look at the way they align. Now you got to figure out to each side, if it's too high, is it going to be cover 2 or cover 4? Those are pretty much the 2 coverages they can play. And we're going to take you through some of these alignments and things that give these coverages away. So watch with the motion, right? Penn State's going to make all their base checks, okay, to get into their base coverage here. All right, but to the field, this is the typical cover 4 shell, cover 4 coverage triangle. All right, with the motion, they check to 4, and you can see them get to their base alignments. The corner moves 7 yards off inside leverage. The safety moves inside leverage of number 2. He's now splitting the tight end and the number 2 receiver. Okay, and this linebacker walks all the way out and is head up on number 2. All right, so let's start with the linebacker. He's so wide because he's the flat defender. His job is to run with the number 2 receiver to the flat or get underneath any quick game routes by the number 1 receiver, right? He has this immediate flat area. All right, the cornerback, he's basically playing man-to-man on this number 1 receiver if he runs vertical. So he wants to play man-to-man with inside leverage. If number 1 stops right away, he's either going to jump that hitch or jump that in-breaking route, okay, or he might get his eyes inside to look for something coming back out. It just depends how he's taught by his defensive coordinator. All right, this safety, he moves so far inside leverage because he wants to split the number 2 and number 3 receivers and play that quarters area over the 2 of them and split them evenly. Let's play. We end up throwing this ball to that stick route, right? And he gets hammered by the Sam linebacker. Let's see how we could have fixed this, just knowing their coverage responsibilities. So if I'm the running back and I'm running out to the slot receiver position here, and I know it's 4 because I see this guy running with me, I see the safety and corner shifting inside to get to their quarters alignment, then I know that this linebacker's job is to expand and protect the flat. So if I know that as the running back, I need to know that because the tight end is the number 1 read, my job is to expand this linebacker as quickly as possible and put him in a bind right away. I don't want to run up and attack him. I want to expand to the flat right now and make him choose. Is he going to run with me and protect his responsibility, or is he going to sit there with his eyes inside and leave me open in the flat? All right, the mistake we make here is the running back runs too far upfield. You can see he takes like 4 steps upfield before he breaks to the flat, and this delay doesn't put the linebacker in a bind. He's allowed to cover both guys to where when the quarterback's ready to throw the ball, the flat route looks covered, but this linebacker is also right there squeezing on this stick route ready to go make a play on it, and he ends up catching it and getting smacked right in the chest and taking a big hit, okay? This isn't the way we teach this flat route. The running back runs a bad route. All right, again, these are kids playing in front of 100,000 people on national television. Like, shit happens. But we need him to expand the flat right away. If he does that, chances are that this linebacker is very well coached because he plays at Penn State, and he's going to run with that guy right away because that's what his rules tell him. All right, and now that clears him out of there. Now, when the quarterback's ready to throw, this Sam linebacker would be more so around the numbers running with that shoot route, and now you have plenty of room to complete this ball, turn upfield, and get a first down. Okay? Or if this Sam linebacker does want to be nosy and leave his eyes inside, well, now you're going to have a shoot route over outside the numbers that's wide open and will walk for a first down. Okay, either way, just getting that immediate expansion is going to you're going to threaten that flat defender's job and force him to make a decision, and whatever he does, he's wrong because we can go to the next read. Okay, and this is what I'm talking about, making this thing simple, right? It's just cover 4, but it's just understanding what one player's job is, and now we can manipulate his job to get ourselves open and make the whole concept work if we all understand the rules. Now, let's look at the boundary to see the difference between cover 2 and cover 4. All right, to the boundary now, look at this linebacker, okay? He's an inside leverage linebacker because he's a wall player. He's trying to prevent this slot receiver from getting inside of him because that's where the void is in cover 2. There's a big void in the middle of the defense there, right? So he's going to play it totally opposite. He's going to sit there flat-footed, heavy inside leverage, and try and prevent you from going inside. Or he won't be fast to run to the flat. Similarly, now you see this cornerback. He's lower. He's about a 5 yards. He's outside leverage. Why? Because his job is to force everything back inside, back to his help where the linebacker is, and back to where this cover 2 safety is. There's one guy who's misaligned in this coverage, right? And it's this boundary safety. This boundary safety's job is to play the deep half, meaning he has to get over the top of any vertical threat by number 1. But at the snap, like, he's making all these calls, adjusting the defense, and he's getting a little complacent. He's still hanging out here near the hash, looking in at the ball. So if I'm the quarterback, and I really have studied my opponent and their defensive alignments and the coverages they like to play, if I see this, I should know, based on my film study and based on this, man, there's one guy misaligned. Let me at least peek him when the ball is snapped. Let me peek this boundary safety. And, maybe he's baiting you, right? Maybe he's staying inside, and he's going to turn and sprint over the top of the snap. If he does that, well, then fine. Go work the field and go throw your quick game. But if he doesn't turn and sprint the way he doesn't, like he just has a casual backpedal, there's no way he can cover this vertical by number 1, and I can rip that in there for a free 15, 20 yards. Right? So that's the first thing. Now you look at the boundary receiver. He does a great job knowing it's cover 2. He takes his outside release, stays on the cornerback's outside shoulder, gives him a little move to stop his feet, and then wins outside on a free release and stays wide away from the safety, right? The receiver down here definitely knows it's cover 2 and definitely knows he has a shot to get the ball and be wide open. The quarterback and him, unfortunately, are not on the same page. All right, and this is what I'm saying again, simple things. I'm not asking the quarterback to understand rocket science. It's just basic coverage alignments. Where do guys need to be in order to do their job? This boundary safety is inside of the number 2 receiver, right? He's so far inside, I don't think he can cover this, my X receiver here to the boundary. Let me at least just take a peek at it. Oh my goodness, free release, safety's still inside. Let me rip this thing for 20 yards. All right, so the other part to this, right, is simplifying the way you understand coverages, is a lot of this happens in the film room. A lot of this happens before the game is even played. We played Penn State. We know that to empty, they're like a 90% too high team. So when we just call the formation of empty left or whatever we called it, every receiver, every quarterback, we should be going there thinking, all right, we're going to see a too high coverage. Now, what are the too high coverages they can play? But immediately, you're eliminating 50% or more of the coverages they could possibly play. There's no cover 3, there's no one high man. Like, just because of their tendencies on film, you are pretty confident you're going to see a too high zone coverage, right? So this is my point where receivers, you guys think that you need to understand every coverage on every snap. If you're prepared, there's only so many ways they can defend you. They're not going to break away from their tendencies if they're a good team. The same way you have an offensive system, they have an offensive system, and it's based around a few core coverages, and those are the ones you're going to see more often, right? So this isn't rocket science where you're going out there with a blindfold on, looking at a rotating roulette board of 72 different coverages, and you got to pick one, right? It's too high. It's either going to be cover 2 or cover 4 to your side. Figure it out. It's not that hard. Right now, the next play, all right, maybe they're 50-50 one high zone, 50-50 two high zone, and there could be some more confusion. But like, you just got to work through each situation individually, use your context clues, and use your film study to create a plan at the line of scrimmage. Right? These guys, when we called empty left, they knew, all right, I'm either working a cover 2 plan or a cover 4 plan. And now their only job is to figure out which is which. The quarterback's only job is to figure out which is which. And then based on the coverage, we have predetermined reads. All right, if it's cover 2, I like here to here. If it's cover 4, I like going here to here. And you just have rules that you follow, right? So this is not as much of a guessing game as you think. It's not as complicated as you think. Take a deep breath, take each snap for what it is, and just study what are their responsibilities, right? And every team is different. Penn State's flat defender linebacker to the field, he gets really wide where he's on the hash outside of the number 2 receiver, right? But when we play Ohio State the next week, that guy might be more concerned with the quarterback run game and he's going to tilt himself inside more and play this inside out. So his alignment is slightly different, but his responsibility is still the same. We can still manipulate it the same way, but you have to take every team for what it is, right? Like every team has specific rules, specific alignments, and specific techniques to execute their coverage. Learn those during the week when you study film, and then take a deep breath and simplify it and understand they can't defend you a million different ways on every snap. There's only 1, 2, or 3 ways, and find the clues and the tendencies that allow you to take your best guess and execute your plan with confidence, right? But again, this starts with poise. It starts with the way you're talking to yourself, the way you process information at the line of scrimmage, and most of all, it starts with your preparation. These types of conversations, these types of dissecting coverages, it has to happen in the film room, it has to happen in practice, and then it's just second nature and muscle memory once you get out there on the game field and just go ball out and make plays. All right, so that's install number 1 for some coverage recognition. I'm going to get this to you guys more and more as we go. Coach Lieb signing out. Peace.
Hold up, brother, let me get this thing straight. Can't just be another random rapper with a mixtape. I just went and put another beat inside a pine box. I just went and took another trip way out to Biscayne. I love Miami cause they always treat me so well. They used to see me nowhere. I used to pull them by saying I run for the team. Now they running their hands through my head. Yeah, they used to never want to see my town. I got them coming to the east side now. Where they at? In the city where I reside now. When they move a little weight, let the D-line now. Running track or running back. Gotta keep it moving, never running back. Never. We running the game and they running laps. That's another story for another track. See, from the sidelines, we gotta hustle cause we gotta eat. From the sidelines, we got some goals that we still gotta reach. Yeah. Reach. Yeah. Stop.